Relax. You are about to have everything. There is a stillness, a quiet pulse beneath all the chaos. And if you close your eyes for a moment and simply breathe, you will feel it. That gentle whisper, that silent tug within your soul. It is the voice of truth reminding you that you are not chasing a dream that is far away. You are waking up to one that is already yours. You see, everything you desire is not out there waiting to be earned or fought for. It is within you now, encoded in your imagination, blooming quietly in the fertile soil of your inner world. Most people believe that they must struggle, strive, and sacrifice endlessly to receive life's gifts. But they miss the secret. The power is not in the effort. It is in the assumption. It is in the relaxed certainty that what you seek is already seeking you. To relax is not to give up, it is to give in to the truth. You are not begging the universe to notice you. You are recognizing that the universe already has. There is nothing more to prove. There is nothing more to fix. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. The moment you stop reaching outward and begin dwelling inward, you enter the sacred place where manifestation begins. Imagine for a moment that what you want, love, wealth, health, peace, is already yours. Don't analyze it. Don't ask how. Simply feel the warmth of it, the calm of having it. What would your day feel like if you woke up knowing all was well? What if you carried that sense of certainty everywhere you went? That is not fantasy. That is creative power. That is alignment. And from that inner alignment, everything you once pursued begins to flow to you naturally. You've been conditioned to worry, to fear, to try harder. But the laws that govern your reality do not respond to panic. They respond to imagination. When you imagine from the place of already having, you are not pretending. You are creating. You are stepping into the state that magnetizes the world you desire. And when you remain faithful to that state, not just for a moment, but as your dwelling place, then life begins to rearrange itself to mirror your inner certainty. You may look around and see lack. You may feel the weight of delay, but do not trust appearances. They are the echo of past beliefs. They have no power unless you grant them power. The real shift happens when you choose to ignore the evidence of the senses and relax into the invisible truth. Your wish has already been fulfilled, and your only job now is to rest in that fulfillment, to live as if the unseen is already seen, to move in faith, not frustration. There is no virtue in anxiety. There is no reward for struggle. The world has taught you to hustle, to beg, to suffer for what is already yours by divine right. But when you return to your true self, when you stop resisting the flow and surrender to your inner vision, then the gates open. The things you thought were impossible begin to arrive with ease, not because the world changed, but because you did. The moment you relax, you rise. You rise above doubt. You rise above fear. You rise into a realm where thought becomes form and belief becomes flesh. There, you don't chase blessings. You become the embodiment of them. There, you don't force outcomes. You feel your way into them. And the more you remain in that sacred state of knowing, the more effortless life becomes. So breathe. Rest your mind. Loosen your grip. Stop fighting the current. Everything you want is not ahead of you. It is inside of you. You were never meant to strive forever. You were meant to imagine boldly, to believe fully, and to receive freely. And now, if you'll allow yourself to relax into the truth, you will realize something astonishing. You are about to have everything, not because you earned it, but because you aligned with it. And that, quietly, powerfully, is enough. Close your eyes and observe the silence within. Not the silence of the room around you, but the deeper silence that rests beneath thought, beneath sensation. It is in that stillness that the truth begins to whisper. The outer world, no matter how solid it may seem, is nothing more than a shadow cast by the light of your inner awareness. Everything you believe, everything you assume, everything you accept as true within the theater of your mind becomes projected outward as the stage you call reality. Your inner world is not a place of idle fantasy. It is the creative engine of your entire life. Most people live in reverse. They wait for things to appear in the external world before they allow themselves to feel joy, peace, security, or confidence. But in doing so, they place their power in the hands of illusions. They become slaves to circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are just the echoes of their own persistent inner state. To live that way is to stand before a mirror and try to change your reflection by manipulating the glass. It cannot be done. The reflection will not change unless the face before it changes. The outer is only a mirror of the inner. If you are seeing lack in your life, whether it be financial scarcity, loneliness, rejection, or delay, it is not because the world is cruel or unfair. It is because your mind unknowingly has accepted and sustained an inner world of lack. You have rehearsed the feelings of being overlooked, unworthy, or unloved, and so the mirror had no choice but to reflect back that image. But here is where everything shifts. Once you accept that the inner world is the only true cause, you reclaim your power to transform everything. You no longer need to struggle against what is out there. You need only tend to what is in here. You can begin right now in this moment by choosing to imagine differently. You can see yourself as already fulfilled, already celebrated, already successful, not because the world has told you so, but because you have decided to feel it. You are not waiting on the world to catch up. The world is waiting on you to assume, to accept the truth of who you are, to see with the eyes of imagination, not fear. And this is not a call to escape reality. On the contrary, it is a call to wake up to reality's true nature. You were never meant to be a passive observer of life, reacting to what happens like a leaf in the wind. You are the wind. You are the origin of every movement that matters. The beliefs you hold, the thoughts you persist in, the scenes you replay in the theater of your imagination, they are not background noise. They are the architects of tomorrow's events. You do not need to manipulate the people in your life, convince others to treat you better, or chase opportunities with desperation. All you need to do is shift within. The inner movement creates the outer effect. There is a sacred simplicity in this. You don't have to understand how the world will rearrange itself to deliver your desire. You don't have to figure out the strategy or map out every step. You simply need to live inwardly in the state of the wish fulfilled. Feel it, occupy it, breathe it. That state is your new home. You visit it not like a guest who hopes to be welcomed, but as the rightful owner returning to a familiar place. You don't knock on the door and wait. You walk in, knowing it is already yours. Even now, you are creating your future with every dominant emotion, every recurring thought. And once you fully accept this, the outer world becomes less intimidating. You stop reacting to every challenge. You stop panicking over every delay. You no longer fear the unknown because you know that what truly matters is not unknown. It is within your control. If you want to change your life, you begin by changing your mind. Not through effort or struggle, but through assumption, through the gentle, confident act of imagining differently. The people who seem to have it all are not always the ones who work the hardest or chase the most. Often, they are simply those who have assumed deeply and consistently that they are already the person they desire to be. They walk as if it is already done. They speak from the place of fulfillment, not hope. And because they dwell in that state inwardly, life reflects it outwardly, sometimes in miraculous ways. It is not that they are lucky. It is that they are alive. So if you desire abundance, you must first become abundant in thought. If you long for love, you must first feel lovable within yourself. If you crave freedom, you must first feel free on the inside. Every shift in your external life begins as a movement in consciousness. The new job, the new relationship, the healed body, the creative breakthrough, they all arise not because you earned them through sweat and suffering, but because you inwardly became their match. This is the secret the world overlooks. You are not the effect of your environment. You are the cause. The outer world, with all its noise and distraction, may try to convince you otherwise. It may flash images of lack, delay, and hardship. But those images are only sustained by the fuel of your belief. Withdraw your belief, and the illusion collapses. Sustain a new belief, and reality bends to accommodate it. Not because you forced it, but because you relaxed into the truth that everything begins within, that your inner world is the blueprint of your destiny. And the moment you tend to it with care, with reverence, with calm certainty, everything begins to change. Relaxation is not laziness. It is not carelessness. It is the sacred art of surrendering into the deeper truth that your desire is already fulfilled. In a world that worships effort, glorifies struggle, and demands proof before belief, relaxation feels like rebellion. But it is the kind of rebellion that reconnects you to your original power, the power to assume, to imagine, and to manifest without force. The moment you relax, you stop wrestling with appearances. You stop fighting the flow. You step into alignment with a higher law, the law of consciousness, which creates all that is seen from what is unseen. To relax is to trust, not blind trust in external circumstances, but divine trust in the unseen reality you carry within. The moment you let go of trying to force things, you give your imagination the space to create. You cannot be anxious and creative at the same time. One is contraction, the other is expansion. Worry chokes the soul. Relaxation opens the door. When you are relaxed, you are not abandoning your desire, you are embodying it. You are saying with every breath, I believe it is done. And from that inner knowing, life begins to arrange itself not through pressure, but through harmony. We have been taught that effort is the price of success, that rest must be earned through exhaustion, and that we must always be doing something to get somewhere. But all of this is rooted in a deep misunderstanding of how creation works. The seed does not struggle to become a tree. The moon does not beg the sky to rise. The rose does not strain to bloom. Nature reveals this truth constantly. Alignment, not effort, brings forth manifestation. And you, being part of that same divine design, are no different. When you imagine yourself already in possession of your desire, and you do so with calmness, with stillness, with confidence, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious. That seed does not need you to dig it up every day and examine whether it has sprouted. It needs you to trust, to relax, to water it gently with belief, to bask in the feeling of having it now. That relaxed state is not passive. It is the most powerful position you can take. It is a statement to the universe that you are not hoping or wishing, you are knowing. Consider this. When you order something online, you do not sit at the window all day in panic wondering if it will arrive. You place the order, you receive the confirmation, and then you go on with your life in calm expectancy. That is the posture of one who trusts the system. And yet, how often do we treat our own desires with less faith? We imagine what we want, but then we tense up, we question, we doubt. We try to make things happen through force. Passion delays the delivery. It clouds the channel. It sends mixed signals. But the one who relaxes into the fulfillment, who rests in the feeling that it is already so, creates the clearest pathway for the manifestation to arrive. Relaxation is not about detachment from your desires. It is about detachment from the fear that they will not come. It is about unburdening your consciousness from the weight of needing to control. When you relax, you stop standing in your own way. You release the resistance that says, I need to fix this, I need to force this, I need to chase this. Instead, you say, I am already one with this. And in that unity, in that stillness, you become a magnet to the reality that matches your vibration. To be relaxed is to embody the state of the end. And the state of the end is always peaceful. Think about it. If your dream were already true, if the money were already in your account, the love already in your life, the health already restored, how would you feel? You would not be tense. You would not be rushing. You would be calm. You would move through your day with ease, with grace, with joy. That feeling is not something you wait for, it is something you create now. And when you live from that place, you begin to draw the future to you, not with effort, but with resonance. People often ask, what do I do while I wait for my manifestation? The answer is simple. Stop waiting. Start living as though it has already happened. And how do you do that? By relaxing into the version of you who already has it. Walk like them, think like them, rest like them, speak like them. Do not perform the role. Become it. The relaxed you is the fulfilled you. The one who is no longer striving but enjoying, no longer chasing but attracting. Even in the face of circumstances that contradict your vision, relaxation is your weapon. It is the quiet defiance that says, I do not bow to the illusion. I remain faithful to the inner truth. That stillness is not weakness, it is strength. It is power, and it communicates more clearly to your subconscious than any desperate prayer ever could. The subconscious does not respond to begging, it responds to conviction. And conviction speaks loudest when it is silent, when it is calm, when it is still. You are not here to struggle your way into abundance. You are here to realize that abundance is your nature. You are not here to fight your way into love itself. It is leap year that your awareness is already within you. You are not here to fight your way into freedom. You are here to recognize that the door has always been open. And the key to walking through it is not effort, it is relaxation. It is the sacred trust that what is meant for you is already done in the unseen and is now making its way to you through alignment, through peace, through surrender. So let go of the tension, let go of the timeline, let go of the fear, drop your shoulders, breathe deeply, close your eyes, feel it, know it, live from it. And then watch as the world bends, quietly, gently, invisibly, to bring you the evidence of what your inner being already knows, that you are about to have everything, not by chasing, not by begging, but by relaxing into the truth that it is already yours. Imagination is not a distraction from reality, it is the foundation of it. What you imagine with intensity, with faith, with emotion begins to take form in the unseen before it ever becomes visible. It is not a child's game or a dreamer's fantasy. It is the blueprint of creation itself. Every structure you walk through, every tool you use, every movement in the world first existed in the mind of someone who dared to see what had not yet appeared. The invisible always precedes the visible, and the bridge between desire and reality is the unseen act of imagining what is already yours. Most people make the mistake of using imagination as a form of escape. They visit the state of their desire briefly, like a traveler passing through, but they do not dwell there. They fantasize for a moment and then return to the real world with doubt, looking at their present circumstances and declaring them more true than what they felt within. But imagination must be treated as more real than the facts that contradict it. The outer world is only ever catching up to the inner vision. If you can hold the image long enough, if you can sustain the feeling without interruption, reality must obey. It has no choice but to conform to the image you refuse to let go of. It is not enough to wish. It is not enough to want. Imagination is not begging, it is becoming. When you imagine from the end, from the place where your desire is already fulfilled, you are not watching something unfold from a distance, you are stepping into the identity of the one who already has it. You walk differently. You speak differently. You move differently. You don't just dream about wealth. You carry yourself like one who is well. You don't just desire love, you dwell in the feeling of being deeply loved. You don't hope for healing. You accept it inwardly as already complete. That shift in imagination is the shift in destiny. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is imagined vividly and what is experienced physically. It responds to feeling, not fact. And so when you use your imagination with clarity and emotion, you are impressing upon the subconscious a new version of reality. And once impressed, the subconscious must outpicture it in your world, whether through events, opportunities, people, or miracles that your logical mind cannot predict. The bridge of incidents that leads you from where you are to where you desire to be begins to form the moment you imagine it with sincerity and persistence. You must understand the difference between imagining about something and imagining from it. When you imagine about wealth, you are still separate from it. You are a beggar looking through a window. But when you imagine from the state of wealth, you are inside the house, sitting at the table. Living from the end, you are no longer asking when it will come. You are living in the conviction that it is already here. That internal movement is not a mental trick. It is the birthplace of transformation. You are no longer hoping, you are knowing. You are no longer waiting, you are being. The great shift occurs when you stop using imagination as entertainment and begin using it as creation. When you close your eyes and step into the scene that implies your wish is fulfilled, feel every texture, hear every sound, taste the victory, breathe in the joy, and embody the peace that would be present if your desire were true. And then, when you open your eyes, walk through the world as though nothing has changed, because inwardly, everything has. And that is how you create the conditions for your desire to become physical. That is how you close the gap between the unseen and the seen. Imagination is your divine gift, the silent architect of your world. You have been given this power not to fantasize idly, but to shape reality deliberately. Every time you replay scenes of failure, rejection, or delay, you are rehearsing a future you claim not to want. And yet the subconscious accepts it without judgment. It takes in your most dominant emotions and creates from them. You cannot claim to want abundance while imagining scarcity. You cannot desire love while revisiting memories of betrayal. You cannot ask for healing while dwelling in the identity of the broken. You must see differently to live differently. This is why it is said that faith is the evidence of things not seen, because imagination is not wishful thinking, it is spiritual sight. You are looking through the eyes of your higher self and choosing to believe in a reality that exists beyond what your physical senses can detect. And once you choose to stay in that vision, to feed it daily with your attention, to protect it from the interruptions of doubt, it begins to crystallize. The world bends not to your effort, but to your inner vision. Do not ask how it will happen. The how is never your concern. That belongs to the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. Your role is to remain loyal to the picture you have painted within. Even when nothing appears to change, especially when it doesn't, that is your cue to go deeper, to feel it again, to walk the scene again, to imagine yourself in the new state until it becomes more familiar to you than your current reality. Until the vision becomes so alive within you that the outer world must reflect it. This is not about forcing thoughts. It is about becoming still enough to feel. The clearer the feeling, the closer the manifestation. And if you can hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled long enough, the world will rush to meet you. Opportunities will rise from places you never noticed. People will appear at the right time. Circumstances will shift in your favor. It may seem random, It may seem miraculous, but it is not. It is the natural response of a world obedient to your inner world. Everything you will ever manifest must first pass through the gate of imagination. It is the womb of reality, the first and final place where your desire takes shape. Ignore what you see with the outer eye. Believe what you feel in the inner world. That feeling is the seed. That image is the command. That imagination is the bridge. Walk it faithfully and you will arrive in the world you once only dreamed of. The greatest deception you will ever face is the one that comes dressed as truth, what your five senses tell you in the midst of waiting, doubting, and desiring. The world outside of you, the one you see, hear, touch, and taste, is not the master of your life. It is the servant. It is the shadow. And a shadow has no power of its own. Yet how often do we find ourselves bowing to circumstances, reacting to what is visible, adjusting our beliefs to match what we can measure and calculate? This is the root of delay, not the absence of opportunity, but the presence of doubt, born from trusting the wrong source. The senses are reporters, not creators. They show you the harvest, not the seed. They reflect the past, not the present moment of power. To ignore the senses is not denial, it is wisdom. It is the decision to believe in what your soul knows, rather than what your eyes see. The senses will always show you the remnants of your old beliefs, your past assumptions, crystallized into form. If you declared lack within and persisted in it, the world has no choice but to echo back scarcity. If you entertain betrayal, the world must reflect scenes that confirm that. But the moment you change the assumption, quietly, inwardly, completely, the world must begin to shift. Not immediately in appearance, but inevitably in unfolding. The senses, being bound by time and matter, will try to convince you that nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, everything is already rearranging. You must learn to trust the unseen more than the visible. This is not naivety, it is spiritual clarity. It is the understanding that the outer world is like a delayed mirror, always showing the residue of yesterday's inner state. If you want to change the reflection, you do not polish the glass, you change the face before it. And that face is your inner assumption, your emotional posture, your imagined identity. When you stop needing the senses to verify your progress and instead rest in the feeling that your desire is already true, you move into alignment. You become untouchable by fear and untied to time. You live in the future before it happens, and in doing so, you call it into the now. Many people break their manifestation just before it arrives, not because they didn't imagine properly, but because they grew impatient with appearances. They looked around and saw no change. They checked the bank account, the phone messages, the doctor's report, and said nothing is happening. But in that very statement, they abandoned the state of the wish fulfilled and returned to the state of wanting. The subconscious, hearing the complaint, responds faithfully, not with judgment, but with reflection. And the cycle repeats. The delay continues, the promise is withheld, not by the universe, but by the one who stopped believing in silence. Silence is sacred. It is the space in which the new reality is born. And in that silence, the test comes. Will you believe what you feel inside, even when nothing outside affirms it? Will you stay loyal to the image you've planted in your mind, even when the world shows you the opposite? This is the measure of faith. And faith is not passive. It is a powerful inner movement that says, I do not need evidence. My feeling is enough. That feeling is your signal to the universe. It is the vibration to which all things respond. You don't have to prove anything. You only have to persist. The challenge, then, is not about doing more, trying harder, or forcing reality. It is about remaining still in the storm of contradiction. When the senses scream lack, you whisper abundance. When the world shows rejection, you embody acceptance. When delay appears, you relax deeper into trust. You do not wrestle with appearances. You outgrow them. You transcend them. You look at them and say, "This is old news," because you know that what is real is not yet visible, and what is visible is not yet real. It is already fading, already dissolving, already being replaced by the new state you have claimed. Think of the actor who must perform as if the entire story has already unfolded. He cannot break character just because the set hasn't been built or the audience hasn't arrived. He must hold the role, live from the script, and trust that everything else will align in due time. So must you. You are the actor and the writer of this experience, and you must hold the role of the fulfilled self with unwavering conviction, regardless of the set, regardless of the lighting, regardless of who applauds or who doubts. You must ignore the senses and trust the role, because the role you assume becomes the world you live in. To live from the end means to feel it, believe it, and think from it, not about it. You are not watching your future unfold, you are inside it already. You are touching the reality that others cannot see. And the more you return to that inner experience, the more magnetic you become, the more irresistible, the more aligned. Circumstances will bend, people will shift, events will unfold, not because you chased them, but because you became the one for whom they were inevitable. You must decide what matters more, what you see or what you know, because the two will not always match, at least not immediately, and in that gap you must hold attention with grace. The temptation will be strong to lower your vision to match your conditions, but the invitation is higher. Raise your condition to match your vision. That is the work, that is the discipline, and that is the key to unlocking the unseen realm where all things already exist. So the next time you look around and see nothing happening, remember this. The gardener does not dig up the seed to check its growth. He waters, he waits, he trusts the soil. The inner work is done in stillness. The outer world will catch up, but only if you remain faithful in the silence, only if you continue to ignore the senses and trust